According to the United Nations Food and Agricultural Organization, poultry is the second most widely eaten meat in the world at 33%. Coming in first is pork by only 3% more at 36%. So, with poultry apparently on many of our minds, poultry seasoning is a good place to start when it comes to adding flavor to those simple chicken and turkey cuts. The most common ingredients in poultry seasoning are sage and thyme with many variations. I love using my homemade poultry seasoning to herb and spice up casseroles, soups, and pot pies. 'Tis the season when it's cold. I'm excited to share with you my poultry seasoning blend version. Commercial brands of poultry seasoning can be either a brown powder of ground herbs or a leafy mix of herbs. Regardless, both variations contain mostly the same herbs. Growing up, I only ever had the ground version, and it's the version I think is most common, at least in the United States. Nevertheless, you will have a choice in my recipe version, and I'll explain how to get both texture varieties. For the ingredients, you'll need dried ground thyme, dried ground sage, dried crushed rosemary, dried leaf marjoram or oregano, dried ground coriander, ground nutmeg, and ground black pepper. For an all leafy variation, just use all dried leafy herbs. To a small bowl, measure out and add 6 grams, which is 1 tablespoon of dried ground thyme, 3 grams, 1 tablespoon of dried ground sage, 3 grams, 1 tablespoon of dried crushed rosemary, 3 grams, 1 tablespoon of dried marjoram leaf, or you could use oregano if it's easier to find, 2 grams, half a tablespoon of dried ground coriander, half a gram, a quarter of a teaspoon of ground nutmeg, and half a gram, a quarter of a teaspoon of ground black pepper. Use a spoon or small whisk to mix up the ingredients. You want all the herbs and spices to combine. For finer texture or mixture, you can purchase all herbs in ground form or grind them yourself using a mortar and pestle, coffee grinder, or paper mill. For all leafy herbs, use all dried leaves. This recipe makes a quarter of a cup or 4 tablespoons, which is enough to fill a small spice jar, which is what I'm using. And in order to do that, I like to put a funnel in my spice jar and then just to use a spoon. Transfer your mixture to the spice jar or a container with a tight fitting lid. And you can see how this mixture goes down pretty quickly when you're using a little utensil to help. Then just add your lid and your spice blend is ready to be used whenever you're ready. You could store poultry seasoning blend in a sealed container for up to a year or based on the shortest expiration date of the oldest individual spice. Add this poultry seasoning as you would a commercial version in a 1-to-1 ratio in your favorite recipes that call for poultry seasoning. It adds an earthiness to your dishes and complement chicken, turkey, roasted vegetables, along with fish, beef, pork, and even tofu. This mixture works very well in many savory dishes. Add it to eggs, casseroles, soups, and my favorite chicken pot pie. You can modify the recipe to fit your preferred tastes. I created a version that I like to eat. You can do the same. Thanks for watching, liking, and subscribing. Until next time, add some poultry seasoning to your favorite savory dishes and go bake the world.